Good evening. I'd like to call to order the September 25th, 2018 meeting of the Methacton School District Board of Directors. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Looks like we have more than a couple extra faces out there tonight. Welcome, everyone. By way of announcements and executive session report, the public is hereby advised of the audio and video recording of this meeting for the purposes of rebroadcasting. There was an executive session of the board held on September 25th, 2018, prior to tonight's meeting for the purpose of consulting with our attorney regarding information and strategy in connection with the lawsuit among SWD 101 LLC and WNR 38 LLC versus Montgomery County Board of Appeals, docket number 2006-31345, in the Court of Common Pleas for Montgomery County. By way of attendance, we have all board members present this evening except for Mrs. Reese and Mr. Navarrete. Recognition of guests and scheduled speakers, Dr. Zerbe.
Good evening, and thank you, Ms. President. This evening, we have some staff recognition and we have some student recognition. First, for staff. For their significant contributions they make to the district in supporting their colleagues, our students, and their families, as well as our entire community, we present the Methacton Award of Excellence to valued members of our staff on a monthly basis. Please join me in thanking and honoring them for the work here in Methacton School District. To present the first award, I will ask Dr. Susan Angstad, Director of Pupil Services, to come forward. Dr. Angstad?
Tonight it gives me, is it on? Tonight it gives me, it's not on, is it? Tonight it gives me great pleasure to share that the Award of Excellence was given to Pat Gavanis as a small token of appreciation for everything she does to support not only the Methacton School District's families and students, but also the Pupil Service Department and, of course, its director. Pat is a dedicated employee who has a strong work ethic. She has extensive knowledge of the department's processes, procedures, and timelines, and does an excellent job adhering to these protocols and ensuring that everybody else does too. She knows how to appropriately handle confidential information as well as complex student-related matters. In addition, Pat is a multitasker. She knows how to deal with the constant interruptions that occur at least 100 times a day in the Pupil Services Department. Pat is, without a doubt, a tremendous asset to not only the Methacton School District, but the Pupil Service Department. And I can't thank her enough for everything that she does for me every single day. Thank you.
Take a picture after we shake hands. Want to shake hands with all members of the board? Sure. Thank you. Congratulations.
Take one with this camera. Can you step in motion? Can you take one with the mirror?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do for us. We have a second awardee. We have Brad Casagrande. He's a custodian at Arcola. I don't believe he's here this evening, but I certainly want to provide some recognition to him. Brad has been employed with the Methacton School District since 2002, beginning his career as a bus driver. Brad was hired as a custodian in 2010 and has worked at Arcola. In his time with Methacton, he has performed well in multiple areas, serving the second shift and working with the Methacton staff and students as well as outside groups. He has always been successfully completing work as well as does it with a smile. And Brad is actually a very good guitar player, and it's a side conversation that Brad and I often talk about. But there is no job that goes undone, no job too big, too small for Brad. And most recently, Brad had passed his PA pesticide application test and is now able to help out with the district in even more ways through his cross-training. So we want to recognize publicly Brad Casagrande. Next on the agenda, it gives me great pleasure to introduce high school principal Dr. Jason Sorgini. This evening, a number of you are here as students and parents of students who have gathered to receive M Awards for their academic excellence in recognition of their performance during the 2017-2018 school year, having achieved a 93% or greater cumulative grade point average in all 4 marking periods last year. For the process this evening, we're going to ask Dr. Sorgini to announce all the students that have received or that will receive an M Award. He will read off the names by class, and we'll ask that all students, when your name is mentioned, if you would come down the far, it's my right, possibly your left, walkway. And what we would like you to do is, when you come down, you'll start with Dr. Katona. Dr. Katona, raise your hand. You'll shake Dr. Katona's hand and make your way through and shake all the members of the board. And then we will ask you to be so kind to go outside where we have your certificates, and then we will take a class photo on the steps leading up to the principal's office. So with all that, Ms. Lynch will help coordinate the photo and the handing out of the certificates. And we just want to tell you how appreciative we are of the work that you do as students and as parents in your achievement of these M Awards. Dr. Sorgini.
Thank you, Dr. Zerbe. As Dr. Zerbe said, the Methacton School District M Award is presented to those students who have maintained a collective academic average of 93% or better for the 17-18 school year. I'll start with the students who are currently in 10th grade who earned the award in 9th grade. I'll read all the names, and as Dr. Zerbe said, we'll ask them to come up. If I could please respectfully ask you to hold your applause because we have many names and we're very excited to read them. We'll begin with Daniel Abraham, Sean Augustin, Ethan Ahn, Hannah Alex, Christopher Ailey, Isha Amin, Richard Armstrong, Courtney Bowcraft, Alessandra Beltrante, Dahlia Boone, Charles Bordenero, Brandon Bata, Aiden Byrne, Kelly Capobianco, Katie Chan, Alec Chang, Jae Hee Chang, Claire Chen, Daniel Chimes, Sung Ho, Russell Coffin, Catherine Connolly, Jeffrey Cooper, Maria Coyle, Mario Diodesi, Paige Deal, Sarah Dedia, Joshua Doe, Daniel Doran, Charles Durazio, Madison Eastmuir, Amy Egan, Lucas Alissi, Hannah Evans, Brooke Finisi, Ava Feralia, Alexandria Ferrance, Brooke Fetterman, Jackson Fisher, Ava Fitzgerald, Lillian Friedman, Matthew Fu, Hannah Gerhardt, Jeffrey Gong, Jacob Gorcheska, Catherine Green, Emerson Greiga, Joseph Goulian, Justin Gumiani, Emily Hall, Isabella Heiser, Rachel Held, Kenny Hermes, Joshua Hine, Catherine Hale, Rachel Hogan, Eliana Hoppel, Lindsay Horowitz, Yiping Hal, Gabrielle Jacoby, Catherine Jaworski, Alexander Jin, Grace Kang, Maya Canver, Lily Kiefer, Lena Kimball, Adam Nalby, Sophia Colamago, Alexa Kratz, Olivia Kranick, Tyler Kropp, Sahil Kuwata, Jordan Leos, Maya Lieber, Angela Lee, Edwin Lee, Patrick Lee, Jessica Lenine, Caitlin Lipton, Jacob Lloyd, Juliette Lauer, Maya Lucchese, Ella McCloskey, Haley McGarity, Kyle McKelvey, Dominic Mioli, Michaela Montalbano, Kathleen Mosima, Rachel Murray, Genevieve Nider, Olivia Knights, Caroline Newman, Thai Wynn, Kevin O'Connor, Meredith O'Donnell, Shannon O'Neill, Thomas Picaro, Sidishka Panda, Leah Payon, Hannah Peters, Tammy Pam, Sadia Rao, Lindsay Reed, Emma Retzlaff, Lucas Ripley, Grace Romano, Christopher Rowland, Jaquila Ruitt, Kara Radzewski, Jonathan Rue, Anthony Sala, Jenna Solkowski, Aaron Sanchez, Justin Sinelli, Christina Sang, John Schmidt, Sharon Shee, Quinn Shields, Emma Smith, Emma Spinelli, Christopher Spletzer, Ryan Stanton, Rory Stein, Zachary Stevenson, Kamia Taneja, Olivia Terry, Riley Thomas, Kevin Trafford, Kylie Tranquil, Bridget Troutman, Julia Tercy, Olivia Van Horn, Dan Vo, Suri Walker, Amanda Wang, Michael Wang, Sarah Young, Catherine Zaki. Congratulations to all our ninth grade, current 10th grade recipients. Okay, out in the hall. Thank you for coming out tonight, folks. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our current 11th grade students who earned the award as 10th graders. Nicholas Allum, Michael Ashleman, Alicia Brunt, Kristen Bricky, Samuel Burkheimer, Amanda Burkholder, Macy Chambers, Naya Cherry, Elizabeth Chipman, Julianne Choi, Srinidhi Dandabatla, Angelo DePep, Nicole Dorn, Caitlin Duda, David Ellis, Caitlin Evans, Brendan Faraji, Siani Ford Barkley, Catherine Gable, Daniel Geib, Ashley Goon, Sungitha Gopi, Henry Graw, Ethan Gritzula, Nicole Harrison, Sarah Hunziker, Anna Jacob, Abe J. Pratap, Eliana Joseph, Andrew Kakala, Sagan Kakar, Anna Kamenetz, Jessica Cower, Juliana Keenan, Abigail Kegg, Hannah Kim, Elizabeth Kirsch, Julia Kramer, Alexander Laconi, Alyssa Lantier, Matthew Lausch, Alexandra Lowry, Ethan Lewinson, Karen Lee, Kristen Luttrell, Amy Lonsdale, Alexa Marburger, Olivia Masser, Madison Mathis, Matthew Mature, Catherine McGrath, Corinne Meyer, Rachel Miller, Ryan Morgan, Luke Murray, Vi Wynn, Caleb Nice, Cooper Nice, Reese O'Brien, Catherine O'Connor, Rachel O'Toole, Luke Owensworth, Stella Peck, Jeffrey Pan, Pablo Parientes, Miti Patel, Shreya Patil, Caroline Pelicano, Mackenzie Pollock, Rachel Przaki, Thomas Rieger, Paul John Rossetti, Leonardo Ruzzi, David Sang, Jasmine Seth, Isha Shah, Shanzeb Siddiqui, Ashmitha Sivakumar, Jiwak Song, Carolyn Sorber, Zachary Sorgini, Kaushik Srinath, Tara Sringari, Anna Steele, Riley Steer, Parker Stevenson, Laura Thorne, Arushi Tawari, Michael Torsini, Matthew Say, Claire Say, Ashley Upani, Mega Varghese, Andrew Wang, Joshua Watt, Cecilia Weaver, Elias Weissman, Sarah Woolston, Annie Zhang, Nicole Zhang, Vincent Zhang, Joanna Zheng, Sophia Zhu, Madeline Ziegler. That concludes our current 11th grade. And finally, our current 12th graders who earn the award as 11th graders. Raja Ahmad, Caitlin Alicia Olano, Evan Babish, Peyton Barone, Stephen Bile, Nicoletta Beltrante, Caleb Bissell, Margaret Bordenero, Davron Borhan, David Brown, Stephen Brown, Danielle Burkholder, Garrett Campbell, Matthew Capisi, Kathleen Callie, Jonathan Cheng, Thomas Chimes, Benjamin Christian, Lindsay Koya, Lauren Cook, Brianna Corsello, Nicholas DiCiani, Jaideep Dillip, Caroline Ditzler, Sydney Dahl, Kenneth Donahue, Alexander Drummond, Austin Eastmere, Emma Eglinton, Daniel Falvo, Sarah Fleck, Alden Ford, Howard Fu, Chandler Gibbs, Hannah Gibbs, Raja Giddy, Saket Gokal, Margaret Gooding, Alexis Gordon, Zachary Griffin, Jonathan Groff, Allison Gumiani, Samantha Haas, Sophia Haybarth, Erin Hardenberg, Anna Hillis, Grace Hurst, Aaron Hollidge, Grace Hollingsworth, Julia Jablonski, Megan Kaliner, Tyler Katz, Hira Hattock, Angie Chung, Manuel Lares, Dahlia Leos, Olivia Lieber, Brian Lee, Damon Leeson, Ashley Liu, Yu Liu, Ryan Lloyd, Julia Melichowski, Kellyanne Marion, Max Markowitz, Joseph Maschantonio, Sean McCann, Lauren McNichol, Garrett McPhillips, Ryan McShane, Nelson Nav, Sarah Nice, Dina Nuemi, Amy Uyang, Kendall Ozorowski, Ishan Patel, Jamin Patel, Tulsi Patel, James Pellegrino, John Pellegrino, Chase Pendleton, Divya Pilla, Christina Pupkowitz, Jason Key, Logan Rambo, Trevor Rambo, Anurag Rao, Lauren Rackett, William Rebert, Jennifer Reed, Sean Ritchie, Samantha Roberto, William Rochon, Nicholas Ronio, Jen LaRuitt, Sydney Ryan, Anna Rue, Harsha Santhanam, Christopher Sarpong, Mary Schlenker, Molly Seitz, Michaela Senderak, Deshna Shah, Armin Simrosian, Gracie Silverstein, Connor Smith, Elijah Smith, Riley Smith, Rebecca Sobek, Brooks Bang, Colby Stahl, Sophia Stillman, Justin Saul, Sean Sykes, Christian Trayford, Ty Tran, Muskan Upal, Nia Vagvala, Aaron Valley, Rebecca Varghese, William Verna, Kim Vo, Michael Zhu, Victoria Zhang, Stephen Zhang, Aaron Zhang, Adam Zhang, Joshua Zhang, Maria Zhu, Paul Ziegler. Round of applause for our current seniors. Thank you very much.
Let me make that announcement. Let me just give people a minute to get out. Don't, let me take care of this. Again, congratulations to all of our students, and to their parents and their support network. I know that, at least I know in my household, you know, while I had 2 children last year in the high school and still 1 in the high school, and I got to tell you that there's a significant amount of work that we all do to make sure that our children are best prepared, and I thank our teachers, our support staff for making, and our school board members for making the Methacton education a wonderful opportunity for all of our children. So with that said, that ends our guests and scheduled speakers for this evening. I just have one announcement for the board and the public's information. The announcement is as follows. On number 6 on the agenda, it says appointment of new student board representatives and administration of oath of office, September 25th, 2018. That item will now become item number 9B. And item number 9 on the agenda, which is board meeting minutes, approve the special meeting minutes and the work session minutes, will become 9A. So, again, 9A will be the approval of the minutes. 9B will be the appointment of new student and board representatives and the oath of office. That ends my report. Can we move on to reports?
Yes. So moving along now, we'll go on to reports, and we'll start with the Finance Committee and Mr. Earnshaw.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on September 11th. The meeting was called to order at 6:32 p.m. In attendance, myself, Ms. Cancro, Mr. Navarrete, Mr. Bricker, and Dr. Zerbe was not in attendance for this meeting. As far as the agenda, first item was our monthly financial reports. Mr. Bricker presented a list of bills, treasurer's report, and the expenditure and revenue reports, and he provided responses to questions from the committee at the meeting and via email prior to the meeting. There were no budgetary transfers again this month. And on the agenda for tonight's meeting are the list of bills and the treasurer's report. Mr. Bricker also reviewed the Healthcare Consortium report, which included information through June of 2018. The district currently has a $1.2 million surplus with the consortium. The committee discussed the level of surplus and how it may be utilized in the future. Mr. Bricker also reported that members of the consortium will meet in October to discuss future plans for medical insurance. Regarding other discussion topics, Mr. Bricker provided a handout to the committee detailing the timeline for the 2019-2020 budget preparation. He presented key dates in the timeline and commented that the timing was very similar to the prior year. I had requested that Mr. Bricker discuss with Dr. Zerbe the addition of key dates for conclusions regarding staffing and facilities to the timeline. Mr. Navarrete also commented on the need for zero-based budgeting and certain other budgetary matters. The preliminary budget result discussion from the past fiscal year was deferred to a later date. Mr. Bricker then went on to talk about student activity accounts, and on the agenda for tonight's meeting are approval of the class of 2022 activity account and the disposition of the remaining funds in prior class accounts. Other topics discussed, Mr. Bricker requested input on where spending for the 2019 master plan projects in advance of the planned borrowing should be charged. Two options were presented, were the general fund and the remaining funds from the 2018 master plan projects. The committee suggested the latter option. Mr. Bricker also mentioned that PFM would be invited to their next meeting to provide a debt review. And finally, regarding other topics, Ms. Cancro commented on mental health programs and budget funding, and such information was to be provided by Dr. Zerbe. Four members of the public commented at courtesy of the floor. Mr. Andrews from Lower Providence commented on or asked questions regarding funding and approvals for mold remediation work in the modulars at Arrowhead and the list of bills. Jim Mollick from Worcester commented on and or asked questions regarding the Act 1 tax increase exceptions, Shannondale litigation regarding which he provided the committee with a handout regarding this matter, the Arrowhead timeline, and building plans. Joe Bickelman from Audubon commented on or asked questions regarding the 2019-2020 budget, zero-based budgeting, budgeting for equipment purchases, activity accounts, and excess funds in such accounts, and activity fund accounting and reporting. And finally, Paul Winters from Lower Providence commented on or asked questions regarding union selection for the Healthcare Consortium, interest rates for borrowings, and mental health programs. And the meeting adjourned at 7:35 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Earnshaw. Lost my page. Property and Transportation Committee, Mr. Navarrete is not here. Is there anyone from the committee that has the minutes on his behalf, or should we just look for them to be attached? Okay, we'll look at them attached to the agenda. Education Committee, Ms. Reese, who's also not here. We will look at those attached to the agenda. And Ms. Hull, Policy Committee.
The Policy Committee met last night, September 24th, in the Farina Center. The meeting was called to order at 6:30 p.m. All committee members were in attendance. Myself, Mr. Ryan, Ms. Aubrey Larson-East, and Mr. Earnshaw. Guests include Mr. Regina and Mrs. Sharon Montaigne of Sweet Stevens, Katz and Williams. There were no updates on 3 of the policies that were previously discussed. 2 policies from previous discussion have recommendations for changes from our council. All policies recommended for first discussion last night were from the 300 series regarding employees. Several are being held for further discussion and clarification for October, but 4 policies are recommended for first reading tonight. They are 314, physical examination, 318, tardiness, which was previously named penalties for tardiness, 322, gifts, and 324, personnel files. In new business, I shared that I participated in the PSBA webinar on juuling, vaping, and e-cigarettes, and there are no recommended changes to Methacton policy at this time based on what was shared in the webinar. During courtesy to the floor, Dr. Malik inquired about remedies for board members in violation of board policies. He also asked about policy 321, political activities, and policy 002, authority and powers, and how it prohibits one board member from acting on behalf of the entire board. Our meeting adjourned at 8:01 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Hull, and special recognition for the fact that that meeting wrapped up less than 24 hours ago and you managed to get those minutes done. The intermediate unit, Mr. Ryan?
I have no report for tonight. We actually meet tomorrow night.
All right, we'll look forward to hearing about that next month. North Monco Technical Career Center, Ms. Drummond?
Yes, we met on September 18th, and the director, Gina Partovich, said that enrollment is robust at the Technical Career Center with over 1,000 students. There's still some people coming and going as they figure out their schedules. We approved a number of proposed employment motions and travel requests for students and staff, and we also there is a service animal at the school this year, so we approved a new board policy regarding animals on school property.
All right, thank you, Ms. Drummond. Our student board representatives are obviously, I'm assuming not and have a report. Am I wrong? Okay, go for it.
Okay. So some club meetings and activities have begun at the high school. Some of these include Best Buddies, where students can become best friends or buddies with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Element Magazine, where students help edit art, writing and art, design pages, and format Methacton magazines. Minithon, where they work in groups and collaborate to help create one of Methacton's largest fundraisers. Model United Nations, where students role-play delegates to the United Nations and stimulate UN committees. Robotics, which participates in the VEX robotics competition, the largest robotics competition in the world. And the Science Fair team, which participates in multiple science fairs, including county, regional, tri-state, and international science fairs. There also have been college representative visits. There are many college visits throughout September, October, and November, and all meetings take place in the Career Center. The theater is currently preparing for the Christmas Carol as well.
In sports, the boys varsity soccer team on Saturday defeated Lansdale Catholic 6-1 at home, and yesterday the boys beat Owen J. Roberts 2-1. The girls varsity soccer team faced Owen J. Roberts last night and won 3-0. In field hockey, last Friday, the JV field hockey team beat Pottsgrove 8-0, and varsity won 6-0. And they played Owen J. Roberts last night at home and lost 2-1 in overtime. Football, the Methacton football team had their first win of the season, beating Boyertown 36-7 at home. The win marked Methacton's first victory in 692 days. Methacton will be on the road this week facing Springford. The game is Saturday at 2 o'clock. In volleyball, the volleyball team defeated rival Springford last night after a late comeback. And in cross country on Saturday, the boys cross country team finished 7th in the PIAA Invitational at Hershey Park. Other Methacton news, the 9th and 10th grade back-to-school nights were held on September 5th, and the back-to-school nights for 11th and 12th graders were held on September 17th. Other upcoming events in Methacton, senior portraits began today and will continue through Thursday in the cafeteria. To schedule an appointment, go to www.ouryear.com and enter the school code 95. The Fox Chase Cancer Center is offering the Teen Research Internship Program Initiative during the winter and spring of 2019. TRIP is an intensive 12-week science exploratory program. The program offers hands-on training experience in a science lab. The program is free.
Thank you. It sounds like we're off to a great start this year. For the Methacton Education Foundation, unfortunately, Mr. Beam and Ms. Krelovich were both unable to attend this evening because of conflicts, but they did provide me with a report that I can share. The We Run Out Hunger 5K raised over $15,000 for students in need in Methacton. There were fewer racers this year, but that drop was made up for by a generous $5,000 sponsorship by Fidavia, in addition to the water and water bottles passed out on the race day by Fidavia's own Dan Sakala and Margarita Donahue. Kicking off the Raising Awareness campaign this new school year, Nikki Krelovich presented at all 7 home and school meetings this month and presented or showed a foundation introduction video at back-to-school nights when format allowed. Word about the foundation is starting to spread among Methacton faculty as the foundation received a record number of grant applications since the summer. This rise in applications highlights the importance of seeking unrestricted funds. And advertising for the pre-K scholarship program started last month, and the YMCA is accepting applications now. The foundation is providing need-based scholarships to children who live in Methacton and are eligible for pre-K. For communications, Ms. Lynch was not able to stay with us this evening. For the superintendent's report, I turn it to Dr. Zerbe.
Thank you, Ms. President. There are a list of items under my report for your information needs, but most importantly, I just want to bring to the board's attention, as well as the public's attention, about the Strategic Planning Committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow evening. As we approach the midpoint of our strategic plan, we will bring together parents, community members, board members, administrators, teachers, and students for a meeting of the Committee of the Whole tomorrow night here at Methacton High School. The group will discuss the existing plan and analyze strengths, challenges, opportunities, and threats within each of the focus areas in order to stimulate conversation about potential goals for the district to consider moving forward. In advance of this meeting, I just want to thank all members of the board and the public, our staff, and our students and our community for their participation in this matter. I believe we have approximately 85 to 90 participants as part of this whole process. So I thank everyone for being involved.
Thank you, Dr. Zerbe. At this point, we'll take public comment on board action items. Are there any public comments on the board action items this evening? Mr. Andrews.
John Andrews, Lower Providence. Under the fiscal items, 10D2 is going to be a motion to transfer funds from some graduated classes to the current classes in the high school, and I'm wondering what the amounts are for each of the classes, 2016, 2017, and 2018.
I'll see if we can get that answer for you when we come to that in the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Bailey. I am one of the co-chairs of the decorating committee for the post-prom event. and it has come to our attention that there is in consideration changing the post-prom storage closet that we have been using for over 15 years back into a bathroom. I just want to make sure that all of the board members are aware of this potential change. My understanding, or our understanding, was that there was going to be a vote on it this evening, and whether the vote was to have contractors provide a bid for it, or if it was actually a vote to convert the bathroom from the storage closet back into a bathroom. I wasn't quite sure. There has not been any direct communication to the post-prom committee, so that is why I'm here. I would like to share with you a few points that I sent to Mr. Navarrete on Wednesday, September 19th, forgive me. It was September 21st. Introducing myself, and that to let him know that the closet, in our opinion, should not be turned back into a bathroom. We understand that there is a potential for compliance here. However, it is unclear what that compliance is, and we'd like to be made aware of that. As I said earlier, the post-prom closet has been designated by the school district to let us use it for storage of murals and supplies. All caustic and combustible paints, non-latex paints, have been removed from the closet. The only thing that is in there currently are murals that we have painted in the past, blank Tyvek, and latex paint. We hope that if there is a reason to turn this back into a bathroom, that we will be able to get a different closet that we will also be able to use and be near a water supply. We need to have a sink, water access, to be able to wash paintbrushes, to clean up. We need to be able to have the decorators come in and spread the murals out. They are at least 8 feet tall, and some of them are 20, 30, 40 feet long. So obviously this is something that can't be done in a person's home. So we also want to just point out that the board has closed Audubon Elementary. One person had thought that perhaps the 9th grade being a larger class was the reason for the conversion of the storage unit, the storage closet, back to a bathroom. The enrollment has fluctuated over these past 15 years, as we all know. And the storage unit, the storage closet, has remained in post-prom and being accessible to the post-prom over 15 years. There are some other things too. I know that students, my daughter just graduated this past year. She rarely uses a bathroom in the high school because of what I termed nefarious activities that take place in those bathrooms. I'm sure that everyone understands what some of those activities might be, and adding yet another bathroom to be monitored by staff or whomever, especially on the fringes of the second floor, is perhaps something that we don't necessarily want our children to, and yet to be exposed to, and also perhaps not something else. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know.
It's actually 4 minutes, but yes.
I could talk forever.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bailey, can you
anyway,
please?
those are a few
Yes.
of my issues. I do hope that you understand that we are very dedicated to post-prom, and I know that all of you are as well, and thank all of you as board members who helped decorate last year, and I know you understand how important this activity is to our school district and our children.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey.
Gabby Winters, Lower Providence. I'm just going to pick up where she left off real quick. What we would like is, we understand that this is for next summer, so 2019. I believe the report was from 2016 and cited that we weren't in compliance. I would like to ask you to wait a month to vote on this portion. I think it's 21C of the master plan because it's waited this long, and I'd like to see what post-prom is, what the solution to this is before you just move ahead with it, and I think that's what we would all like, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Winters. Dr. Malik.
Can I,
Dr. Malik, your comments are supposed to be directed to me.
Well, I've already made these comments to you, so you'll appreciate them when I make them. Have to do with the executive session. I'd like to object under 710.1C, if I could.
Are your comments on an action item for this evening?
You can make your objection.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor, I appreciate it.
What is the nature of your objection? Could you just state it first?
The executive session announcement.
That was made this evening?
Yes.
And specifically the concern?
The concern is what I handed you right now is how the executive session announcements are made by the board president and specifically how they have been made by the board president in the past. And the reason I say that is a month ago, a similar announcement was made about the Methacton versus MD or LG, whatever they made tonight. And last month, or actually at the last meeting, I asked for the docket number, which was left out in the announcement a month ago. And what I gave you there is from Jonathan Reba, who said that you have to do the case, the court, and the docket number, according to case law. The second page is also from Jonathan Reba and has Sweet Stevens cats on top of it, if you look, Mr. Solicitor. That's actually a legal memo that talks about the Commonwealth Court Reading Eagle case. That also says you need to announce case, court, docket number. And I asked for the docket number 2 weeks ago for the case that we're talking about. And they refused to give it to me 2 weeks ago.
So just to be clear, your Sunshine Act objection is with regard to a prior meeting, not this evening's meeting.
Well, let me finish. So they refused 2 weeks ago to give me the docket number of the case. And I also include board policy as well. So I could have filed an action, which I didn't. And I gave this to you, so I'm putting you on notice that the board is violating the Sunshine Law. So there was a Sunshine Law violation. Now, tonight, they did announce the docket number curing the violation. So I'm not interested in suing the board at this point. Now, I didn't hear tonight the court in which the case was. Am I correct?
It was included, the Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas.
Okay. So I'm putting you on notice now as the solicitor. I gave you all the documentation. Now, you're on notice, the board's on notice. So if it happens again, you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, I think we have your Sunshine Act objection noted. Do you have any public comment on action items?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else for public comment on board action items this evening? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the special meeting minutes and the work session minutes of August 21st, 2018, and the board meeting minutes of August 28, 2018? Ms. Cancro, can I have a second? Ms. Drummond? Any comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 7-0. And at this time, let's see, may I have a motion to approve the appointment of Methacton High School juniors Claire C. Did I pronounce your name correctly, Claire? I'm sorry. And Caleb Nice as student board representatives to the Board of School Directors for a term of 2 years for the 2018-2019 school year. Mr. Earnshaw, may I have a second? Ms. Drummond, any comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. And at this point, I'll administer the oath of office. Okay, so just read it. Okay. So
Raise your right hand.
Caleb and Claire, if you could come forward.
Please raise your right hand.
Okay. I ask them to repeat this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of the office
and that I will discharge the duties of the office
of student representative to the board with fidelity.
of student representative to the board with fidelity.
Congratulations. Moving on to fiscal items now. Mr. Bricker?
Tonight for your approval, I have the list of bills, the treasurer's report, budgetary transfers, the student activity account to approve the establishment of the Methacton High School Class of 2022 within the Student Activity Fund in accordance with District Board Policy 618. Approve the closure of the class of 2016, 2017, and 2018 student activity accounts at the Methacton High School, and any remaining unspent funds shall be distributed amongst the class of 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 in accordance with this District School Board Policy 618. And finally, the master plan additional 2019 summer projects.
Okay, I'm going to take the first two items, so just the list of bills and the treasurer's report. May I have a motion to approve the list of bills and treasurer's report as presented? Mr. Earnshaw, can I have a second? Ms. Drummond, any comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? The motion carries 7-0. And may I have a motion to approve the establishment of an account for the Methacton High School Class of 2022 within the Student Activity Fund in accordance with District Board Policy 618? Ms. Hull, can I have a second? Ms. Drummond, all those in favor? I'm sorry, any comments from the board? I skipped over that part. Mr. Ryan.
Could Tim address the question from the public in terms of the amounts for the classes if we have them?
Actually, this is just for the class of 2022.
Do you want just one? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just doing this one, but we will get to that. Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Now, may I have a motion to approve the closure of the class of 2016, class of 2017, and class of 2018 student activity accounts at the Methacton High School. Any remaining unspent shall be distributed amongst the class of 2019, class of 2020, and class of 2021, and the class of 2022 student accounts in accordance with District Board Policy 618. Mr. Ryan, can I have a second? Ms. Drummond, comments from the board?
I think I know the comment, so I'll give the answer. The class of 2016 had $925.29 in it. The class of 2017 had $3,997.68 in it. The class of 2018 had $4,311.27 in it. for a total of $9,234.24. That will be spread out evenly among the 4 groups.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, and pursuant to our discussion last week, I understand that we've taken steps to make sure that this isn't something that we encounter in the future, correct?
As part of the Finance Committee's discussion on this, what we do is now we have a calendar appointment for June 1st that'll pop up for me to remind the student advisors to spend the money.
Sounds like a good plan going forward. Okay, seeing no other comments, then all those in favor? The motion carries 7-0. May I have a motion to approve the authorization of the administration to proceed with design and document preparation work in order to present bid responses for the board's review and consideration for a balance of year 2 work in the amount of $827,526 as presented. Ms. Hull, can I have a second? Mr. Earnshaw, any comments from the board? Mr. Earnshaw?
Yeah, is there any, and this came up last week as well, is there any resolution on the issue that was raised by the public with respect to storage for the post-prom materials?
So I think that this is a challenge of, first of all, communications. We had, as the board recalls, and maybe the property committee more so, that we had brought forward approximately about $8 million worth of projects to be considered about 2 months ago, of which the board approved $5 million of those, about $5 million of those projects. And at the time, we were to go back and move other projects forward. The ones that were previously a part of that remaining $3 million, weren't necessarily ready for, consideration. So within about a 20-day, 30-day period, Mr. Fretz and the construction team worked together to see what the appropriate projects were to move forward. This project, in terms of the bathroom or the room that's currently used for storage, to be renovated back into its original state as a bathroom would not necessarily have been on the docket for this coming summer, but has moved up because of other projects not necessarily moving forward. So within that 20 to 30-day window, it's clear that from the message here this evening from the lady at the microphone, as well as an email that I had received forwarded from a board member regarding the matter that first brought it to my attention, that we did fail in communicating properly in advance of the matter, and I'll take responsibility for that because I think that I've been in and out a little bit with an illness, and so while I'm back now, and certainly it's a matter we need to deal with. So, a long story short, I think we failed in communicating with post-prom like we probably would if I would have caught this earlier. I think secondly, it is in my communication to Ms. Bailey in an email that we recognize that, as well as I've committed to making sure that we do find proper storage for the post-prom. I mean, it's clear that the post-prom committee and the work that the post-prom does for our students and for our community has been outstanding for years, and it's something that we, as an administration, as well as a board and as a community, support wholeheartedly. So, I do apologize to Ms. Bailey and the committee for not having the proper communications occur, but I can tell you that the matter before you is before you because of the facilities assessment that was conducted in 2016 and that has been integrated into the master plan program, and it is recommended by our architects and the construction team to be considered for potential work the summer of 2019. Now, with that said, I think one of the other questions that Ms. Bailey may have had was, what does your vote here this evening signify? I think that's important because it should be clear that this does an affirmative vote on this action item with no changes only means that the construction team over the next several months can work on a list of projects to prepare bid documents and other specifications for potential bidders likely in, is it December or January? It's December or January out to bid. So that in turn, then once the bids are received, likely in February, March, the construction team will come before the board with detailed information around the bids that were received on the specific projects. At that time, the board can certainly decide to move all the projects forward as presented, or choose to, pick the ones that are most appropriate for them to select at that time based on the cost and the type of project that it is. So the thing that will happen this evening, if in fact you affirm this action, will only be that the construction team will move forward along with all the other items to start preparing specifications on the matter. In the meantime, I think what's probably most appropriate is to allow me to work with the post-prom committee, if possible, if they're willing to do that, and I apologize, to figure out how we can best find space that has running water and whatever the other requirements are, and to be able to report back to the board that, this is what, because I know how important it is for the community and the board for post-prom. This is a matter of an activity that saves students' lives. And by all means, while I'm a little embarrassed that we didn't communicate it up in front, I want to make sure that we provide the proper resources for them to continue in the way that they have and want to continue to perform and provide those services. So if it's okay with the board, and you certainly can ask me questions, but I'd like that opportunity to work with the post-prom to figure out how we will address the concern if, in fact, the project does move forward. And that gives me a number of months. Hopefully it doesn't take that long, but it can give you some clarity on the concern.
So, yeah, I have, before I can vote affirmatively on this matter to even put forward a possible bid package for this project, I have some questions. One is a justification for a bathroom. Is there a need for a bathroom, especially in that space, which is in sort of a isolated corner of the corridor? So one is, I would be interested to hear about what kind of bathroom wait times, like what is this new justification for a bathroom, this new bathroom project we need? The second is, the way this is stated in the master plan and the scope of work, it says that the stored materials are highly combustible, which, to my knowledge, latex paint is not highly combustible. The third thing is that the board in this master plan, the proposed work, it does not say that this was the post-prom closet, which I feel is a little bit misleading. And I would like to see, before I can vote affirmatively on this, that there is a viable storage worked out. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, Dave, and I know that you and I contacted you today to understand this a little bit better, but the original 2016 plan said rooms need to be converted to storage. And now it just says they need to be converted back from storage into bathrooms, which I don't think I have any input on understand. I just like to understand, like Liz said also. But I don't know if there's a capability of just evaluating this is $110,000 to convert them back in bathrooms. Why don't we ask for the bid package to give us two options on if this truly needs to be a bathroom, but why don't we just bid it out for bathrooms and/or proper storage? And then we would have an understanding, because if this is just converted to storage, it's $40,000. That might make a difference on our financial decision also, if there's not a justification for really understanding the need for the bathrooms.
I think that's a fair request. I'm fine with that request. In fact, what we can do is, in addition to that, to have those two options for the board's consideration. It'll allow time for us to work with our architects to make sure that there's a second part to this. How do we properly get the approvals to make either of the changes, which may be challenging, but I don't know that at this point for certain. But that's a fine recommendation, and I'm fine with that. I think that allows us to continue proceeding forward. It gives us multiple options, and if we were to keep that as a storage space, at least we convert it into one that's properly designed and meets the needs, maybe even greater than what's there now, and is compliant with all the necessary laws and regulations and codes.
Is there a specific reason that the way it's acting now in storage, this closet, is it not up to code, or what code is it violating?
I don't know the specific code that's challenged in this particular matter, but it's on the facilities report for that specific reason, and the matter isn't because the matter did not start because we wanted an extra bathroom. It started because it was determined by the assessment that this particular space needs to meet its intended construction under the code.
Well, let me just get a clarification here, and James, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this, but so this spreadsheet that we're looking at here for the master plan, where we have item 21C and we have 2016 facility assessment study comment, is that lifted directly from the massive facility assessment study? So based on that, it sounds like the only code issue would be that the stored materials are highly combustible.
I'm not an architect, but I know that the sprinkler layout is actually going to get changed to meet the responsibility from that space, and we have to go in front of township to get the change of use.
Okay, so since you weren't at the microphone, I'm just going to repeat. So that you're speaking not as an architect, but you're saying that things like smoke detectors and sprinklers and things like that, that we'd need to go before the township and have that addressed. So, and I agree, I think that what Mr. Winters is proposing is a good idea. And I would just ask Mr. Summers, would we have to amend our motion this evening then if we were to change anything in this master plan with the way that the motion is worded right now?
So, correct. So the motion, the agenda item as listed references year two work in the amount of 800 plus thousand as presented, and the as presented references the master plan. That's what it authorizes the administration to move forward with obtaining bids on. To provide complete clarity, I think an amended motion that provides that it is as presented with the options, for the Methacton High School for that particular item, storage or a bathroom, would provide the greatest amount of direction for the administration moving forward.
I just want to express that I think there was confusion even by the property committee. I was not aware that that was the particular bathroom that they were looking at modifying. And thank you, Mr. Winters, for bringing that up last week. I would be in favor of moving it forward to find out if it could be a bathroom or storage with proper code requirements. But on the same document, I also do want to bring up that the committee also requested that the abatement, the facility study number 24, we had requested that that be removed and moved into the normal operating budget. And that's included in Mr. Navarrette's minutes.
Mr. Miller, is that accurate?
I don't have the minutes.
Well,
Yeah, I remember focusing on the two larger items. With my focus, I do apologize, I did not.
if that's reflected in the minutes, then it's my recommendation that the motion further be amended to include that as well, to the removal of that particular item. Which item is it again, I'm assuming? SA 24? Thank you.
Asbestos containing material abatement. Yeah, his minutes read, the committee also requested the $5,000 allocated for an asbestos abatement consultant to review existing documents and confirm building conditions be removed from the list of capital projects and be paid for from normal operating budget.
Okay.
Are there any other comments on the master plan item? Okay, so
I'd like to make a motion to eliminate SA 24 from the master plan approval of this, so reducing the amount $5,000 from 827 to 822, 526, and amending the comment related to item 21C to convert the storage, the last phrase, to convert the storage area back to bathrooms and/or storage. It's probably improper English.
So if I could
I'll
just
allow it.
read this, yeah. So it'll say everything that it says there up until the point of, in the amount of, it'll say, in the amount of 822, 526, as amended to A, remove SA 24, and to provide options for storage per HS 21C.
a second.
Before you move that, do we need to allow for public comment on that change?
Not on an amendment to an action item, no.
Okay, are there comments on the amended motion?
I don't know what I'm, okay. I actually have a question about the $110,000 number then for the item 21C regarding this closet/bathroom. Then does that, the $110,000 reflects putting together, the cost to put together a bid package, is that correct?
No. The dollar amount is an estimate of what the work will potentially cost. So this is likely, when we receive the bids, it could be the same, higher, or lower on the numbers on the far right-hand column. This is for the board's information to understand to the degree that the professional services can estimate what the potential cost and the ballpark of that cost is. So to be specific on the dollar amount here in this motion isn't as critical as making sure that the items that are listed on the sheet and that are amended as part of this motion are the items that they are to work on preparing bids for, and nothing more or nothing less.
Okay, I guess what my level of discomfort is then is not knowing what the revised amount would or could be if we are looking at this alternative plan to look at it for storage as well. Then what, we don't.
We're just going to get the bids.
We're just getting the bids.
No, well, we wouldn't know the number until the bids were put out and returned.
But we don't have, but like how we have a ballpark here, we don't really have a ballpark of.
We do not at this moment in time. So it could be more or it could be less. And I think part of what Mr. Winter has suggested is, if this is a $40,000 change to make it a storage area, I mean, it might make, more financial sense as well as, sense for, the total, our operation.
So this is to get all the information about?
Yes.
Okay.
We're not
And then
committing
we
to the
can-
dollar. We're not committing to the dollars.
Okay, and then we can address these other issues of why a bathroom and what are we storing there and how are we doing that
We're
at a
gonna
later date?
work on that in the meantime, and then
Okay.
when the board receives the responses from the bids, then at that time, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions further about those particular options, as well as any of the other things that have been returned. And therefore, at that time, the board can say, well, given all the information, we're going to select some of these projects, all of these projects, or none of the projects.
Okay, and then in the meantime, in this timeline, there is alternative storage is going to potentially be looked at by you
I'm going to meet
and
with the
post-prom.
post-prom committee to talk about what the options are available. If in the instance that one of these bid responses, we're either converting it to storage or to a bathroom, is more appropriate for the building and the students and the primary purpose for the district,
Okay.
and is the project that the board approves.
Okay.
So.
Then I'm comfortable
And so
with
that we
that.
have
Okay.
all our bases covered, so that the board can make an appropriate decision at the time that it's needed.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yep.
So I have a question about paving, not about the closet. So here we have I just want to make sure, so recently in September, we had a lot of events that I attended in 4 different schools, and I noticed parking is an issue. So when I look at statewide, district-wide, the sidewalk and paving assessment, when we were looking at that, we're looking at the conditions of the sidewalk and the paving and repairing it. I just wanted to know if that was, and maybe it's too late, or we do that later on, is looking at possible areas that can have further paving to improve the parking, or just looking at that throughout all the schools, because there's been so many issues in many schools, Skyview, Arcola, and some elementary schools, that have escalated, and I just want to know if we could further extend our paving out to provide further parking, because we cannot accommodate our families attending the events. So I don't know if that was within that realm, or that's something to look into, but I'd be interested in that, but.
I think that's a fair request. I'm familiar with some of the challenges that we have in terms of, access to campuses and parking and so forth. So let me, if I may, take that back to the construction team and see what kind of information we can provide. I don't know if it's really built in there into this to that degree. We're talking about the current status.
I thought, so I
Yeah,
wasn't sure if
but
we can
could-
extend.
Well, we can. If the
Yeah.
board, let us look at what that might be, and what that would entail, and then we can bring a proposal back at some other time for the board's consideration if it makes sense. Thank you.
Any other comments on the master plan? Seeing none, let's have a vote on approving the amended motion.
Well,
which-
first, it's to amend the motion. We had a
I'm sorry,
motion and a
okay.
second to make to do the amendment. Vote on that first, and then the amended motion, assuming it
Got it.
passes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to amend the motion. So let's take a vote on that. All those in favor of amending the motion? And that motion carries 7-0. And now we can vote on this amended motion, seeing no further comment.
Do you want me to read it again or not?
Does anyone need this to be read again? Okay, so then it would be a motion to approve the authorization of the administration to proceed with design and document preparation work in order to present bid responses for the board's review and consideration for a balance of year 2 work in the amount of $822,526 as amended for items SA 24 and HS 21C. Is that sufficient? Okay. So that's the motion that we're voting on. All those in favor? And that motion carries 7-0. Thank you for your patience in muddling through all of that. Moving on to personnel items, Mr. Regina.
Thank you. We have a number of items for the board's consideration this evening. We have 2 items under resignation for classified staff. We have 1 item for establishment of new positions, and that's the approval of a .5 reading specialist at Eagleville Elementary. We have 3 items under uncompensated leave for our classified staff, 7 items under our supplemental contracts, 2 additions to our classified substitute list. We have 1 item for volunteers and 1 item under community education.
Thank you, Mr. Regina. May I have a motion to approve all personnel items as presented here this evening? Mr. Winters, can I have a second? Ms. Cancro, any comments?
Yeah, just a quick question probably for Mary. Is the Title I funding is lower than last year? Can you just explain how that process works a little bit? I think we had 2 full Title I positions last year. Or maybe not, but.
We had money this past year. We actually let the Title I grant open through September 30th. And in doing so, there was some additional money coming in from last year's grant, which technically is, it doesn't end until September 30th unless we have expended all the funds by June 30th. And so we had some additional money there, and we were able to put that toward this particular position. And so now, in the future, if this is approved in the future, I will make sure that with the grant money that we have, that we budget to also cover the position.
Any other comments? Mr. Earnshaw.
Just a question. All the supplemental contracts under item L are in accordance with the MEA contract as far as the nature and amounts?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, with no further comments then, all those in favor of approving the personnel items as presented? And the motion carries 7-0. ELA curriculum for grades K through 5. Dr. Katona?
Yes, we are seeking approval for the ELA curriculum as attached.
May I have a motion to approve the attached ELA curriculum for grades K through 5 as attached? Mr. Ryan, may I have a second? Ms. Cancro, any comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? The motion carries 7-0. Policy, Dr. Zerbe?
There are 4 items under first reading and nothing for second reading, so there's nothing for the board to approve this evening. I'll just skip to other for gifts, donations, and sponsorships. Accept the donation from Don and Sue Sawyer to be used for the backpack program at Methacton High School, value $100. Accept an agreement of sponsorship between Merck, Sharp and Dome, Federal Credit Union, and the Methacton School District as attached for the right to place a banner at the high school, on the stadium field fence for 4 years in exchange for $5,000. 3, accept a gift from the Methacton Cheerleading Parents Club of competition uniforms to be used for the Methacton High School JV and varsity cheer teams. Gift a value of $7,000. Then on to program establishment. The program establishment, this is the result of Dr. Susan Angstad's presentation last week at the work session where she presented REACH. And the motion is as follows. Authorize your administration to establish the REACH Raising Expectations and Children's Hopes Intensive Therapeutic Support Services Program at Arcola Intermediate School on or about November 2018, and to authorize the administration to contract with Springfield Psychological of King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, to provide the school-based services for a 2-year program during the 2018-2019 and 2019-2020 school years at a cost of $133,650 and $171,650 respectively, pending review of service agreement by solicitor. And please know the difference in the 2 years is of the 2018-2019 dollar amount is actually prorated and doesn't actually mean that services are being provided for the full year. So that's why there's a significant discrepancy between the two. And the second year is it would be inclusive of a full year of programming.
May I have a motion to approve the gifts, donations, and sponsorships as presented? Mr. Ryan, may I have a second? Ms. Drummond, any comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. May I have a motion to approve the authorization of the administration to establish the REACH, Raising Expectations and Children's Hopes, Intensive Therapeutic Support Services Program at Arcola Intermediate School on or about November 2018, and to authorize the administration to contract with Springfield Psychological of King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, to provide the school-based services for a 2-year program during the 2018-19 and 2019-20 school years at a cost of $133,650 and $171,650 respectively, pending review of service contract by solicitor. Ms. Cancro, can I have a second? Ms. Drummond, any comments from the board? Mr. Ryan?
Just one comment, a clarification on something that Dr. Zerbe said there between the differences of the 2 years. I believe the second year also included a slight increase of approximately 2.5%. Okay, just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? The motion carries 7-0. Dates for board members' calendars. Please note that the policy committee meeting for October 3rd is currently being rescheduled, and a new date will be posted when it's confirmed. Other dates are listed on the agenda. Any old business this evening? Okay. Under new business, we do have the PSBA office elections. May I have a motion to approve the PSBA candidates running unopposed as follows? Approve candidate Eric Wolfgang, president-elect for a term of 1 year. Approve candidate Art Levinowitz, vice president for a term of 1 year. Approve candidate Mara Bury, Eastern at Large for a 3-year term. And approve candidate Amy Goldman, sectional advisor, Section 8 for a 2-year term. Mr. Ryan, can I have a second? Ms. Drummond, any comments from the board? Mr. Ryan?
Just one piece of additional information for the board. Mara Bury actually is the current head of the MCIU for us. So this is a local candidate who's being elected to this position. So.
Any other comments from the board? Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. For the next item, do I have a recommendation from the board to appoint a PSBA Insurance Trust trustee? And according to PSBA, we can choose up to 3: Richard Frerich, William Lakoff, and Nathan Maines. Mr. Ryan?
I'll make the recommendation for all 3 names he's just currently listed.
Okay. Are there any other recommendations?
I concur with Mr. Ryan.
Okay. Seeing no other comments on that, do I have a motion to approve the recommendations from the board for Richard Frerichs, William Lakoff, and Nathan Maines as PSBA Insurance Trust trustees? Ms. Drummond, can I have a second? Mr. Ryan, any comments from the board? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. And with that, we will move on to courtesy of the floor.
Okay. My name is Marilyn Felty Teed. I graduated from Methacton High School in 1973.
I'm sorry, can you just state your current area of residence?
Worcester.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm back with my mother because I'm taking care of her. But I grew up in this school district from elementary on through. And 2.5 years ago, I found out something, and it was very disturbing to me. And I'm here to give you a quick overview of what that is. And I would really like to have some feedback on this because it was very shocking to me. And I think that there's something being taught in the schools that there's a huge, it could be an outright lie. So I'm here to just present this quickly. Can I do this? I can do it in the 4 minutes, which I think I have. As you can see, the banners have a lot of information on them. So here is the flat Earth map. The North Pole is in the center. Antarctica goes all the way around the outside edge. This is no joking matter. This is the United Nations logo. They use a flat Earth map. All these world organizations use a flat Earth map, but they leave off Antarctica. If there is a sphere, a spinning ball, then there has to be a curvature formula for how far out it goes and how far down it drops, okay? Based on a 24,901 mile equator, this is the formula we came up with. And we used the Pythagorean theorem. Down here you can see that, how we figured that out. And it's 8 inches times a mile squared. Now, if you'll see this picture right here, this is Chicago across 60 miles of Lake Michigan. Now, so you see the numbered blocks, 71, 143, they all correspond with the 200 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball by Eric Dubé. So you can take a picture if you like, but you can see these same pictures again on that video, okay? Except I may have added a few more in that I really like the scientific method, I added that one in there. And gravity theory over here, which that's in grave question. So we have missing curvature. Properties of water, that's always flat on the top, okay? Water never curves and it never conforms to the bottom of the container and reflects that on the top, okay? Here's reflection. We always get the line. If it's a flat surface, you get the line. If it's a curved surface, as you can do with glossy paper at home, just curve the paper, go to a light bulb, and you'll see a curved paper only gets a spot. But this is reality. We get the line, okay? So I'm saying that all the oceans are a flat surface. Your bathtub is flat, your swimming pools are flat, the lakes are flat, so the oceans are also flat. I had a woman. She said she had a master's degree in physics, and she told me the Pacific Ocean was higher than the Atlantic Ocean. I said, no, I don't think so. Water always seeks its own level. What happens down around the bottom of South America? Is it just a raging river there? No. So we have a lot of misinformation going around, and I think it's horrible. I think there's also a law that says the public schools have to teach the truth. Okay, so I'm not here angry at you people. I'm not angry at you. I'm just saying this is information, this is real science, and we have to make sure that we're not abusing the children by lying to them. I think lying to children is child abuse. So I am challenging you all to do this research. I've been studying this 2.5 years, and now I go out and I question people and ask them to look into it. That's what I do. Here, when you study this...
I'm sorry, I need to ask you to please wrap up.
Okay, here's perspective. You're going to have to... 4 minutes is up? Wow. Okay, so 200 proofs. You have to study perspective. That's something that they do not teach you in school. And there's a whole lot. These books are being censored. NASA is lying to us. How does America get to be 2 different sizes? You can take a picture of this, I don't care, but there's a lot to it. And the horizon always goes to your eye level. So if you hold this out, it's, no matter if you're up in a plane or Mount Everest, it's always at your eye level. That proves it's not curving downwards. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Ms. Kaplan?
Sharon Kaplan, Lower Providence. I didn't know that high school bathrooms were going to be discussed tonight, but I just want to make sure that you all are aware that there are bathrooms at the high school that are kept locked. So before the board decides about spending money on building a new bathroom, no matter what's stored in there, maybe it would be more fiscally responsible to figure out how to use the existing bathrooms, because there are boys who have to go from the A wing to the C wing to find an unlocked bathroom. There are girls who don't use the bathroom because every time they go in, there's people vaping in there. So I think that we need to figure out using the existing bathrooms before spending money on building new ones.
Thank you. Dr. Malik?
Jim Malik again, Worcester. Free speech is a beautiful thing. What they also teach in public schools is physics, surface tension, and vector analysis as well. So that's the other side of that coin. My question is, who instructed Dr. Zerbe to create the master timeline for the Arrowhead project that you're going to be discussing very soon? Can somebody tell me that one? Who authorized you to do that? Or he just did it on his own? Did it come to him in his sleep? Did he have a vision? I guess so. What I handed you is page 4 from the updated enrollment study by Milo and McBroom. It's a graph that shows housing sales in Methacton, where it stated that from 2013 to 2016, they averaged 436 per year. You can see that on the graph. I contacted the Montgomery County Planning Commission, who provided me with their housing sales figures for 2013 to 2017. Which I plotted. You can look under the black line, you see those dots. I actually plotted the actual housing figures from the Montgomery County Planning Commission. I gave Dr. Zerbe the backup material. So you can get the actual material from Dr. Zerbe. So there's a discrepancy. I don't know what your experts gave you, but the actual figures are what I plotted. And those numbers are 2013 was 382, 2014 was 353, 2015 was 376, 2016 was 390, and 2017 was 394. So the average was about 360 as opposed to 436. So something's wrong somewhere with your consultant. And I gave Dr. Zerbe what the Montgomery County Planning Commission gave me. This is error number 2 with your study. And you have the facts. I gave them to you. I also got under right to know your K-6 enrollment as of September 18th, 2018, that you were given at the last meeting. You recognize this. Very interesting document. Looks to me like all your schools are pretty much near capacity, all your K-4s. Should have shared this with the public. It's pretty interesting because it also seems to comport with scenario number 3 from Milo and McBroom, which said does not fit under high scenario and strict adherence to class size targets, which means you never should have closed just one school. You remember scenario number 3, right? That's the one you guys did, scenario number 3.
Dr. Mullick, please wrap up.
I sure will. Maybe you should look at scenario number 3, the one you guys chose to do instead of scenario number 8, because basically this document that you were given at the last meeting shows exactly what scenario number 3 said was going to happen.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Mr. Knights.
Hi, my name's Gary Knights. I live in Lower Providence. And first, I want to thank you all for the hard work you do. I know, you're working here in the evening, uncompensated. The school board employees are working in the evening, so, thank you for your service. What I'm here to talk about tonight is class rank, and I would urge you to eliminate class rank and instead let colleges calculate it themselves. I think this will help get our kids into better colleges. Also, it will eliminate a disincentive for kids, high-achieving kids, not to take electives. So let me give you 2 examples. Let's say you have 2 high-achieving kids both taking the same exact class load, and they both have 4 O's. And one of them decides to take an extra class, and they get a B+ in it. Guess what? Logically, the one who took the extra class and got the B+ is performing at a higher level. But under Methacton's class ranking, do they go higher or lower? They go lower. Second, if these 2 4.0 kids aren't number 1 or 2, they're not going to be considered by the top colleges. So basically, their applications will not be looked at. If instead what you did was let the kids' grades and activities go to the colleges, the ones that are like 3, 4, number 20, number 30 might actually be considered. And so I think that's good for the school because it's going to give us more educated students, and also it's going to raise the rank of the school district up, and that's going to help our property values, and that's going to help some of our budget issues. So my ask is, this is a stretch goal, but my ask is that by the end of the year, you guys agree to eliminate class rank or come back and describe why it's in the best interest of the township, the school district, and the kids to have class rank. Thank you. Oh, and on the flat Earth, I've flown military jets, and I've seen the curvature of the Earth. And also when you plan flights, like going over the North Pole, you go over there because there's a curve, as opposed to like following a straight line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knights. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Mr. Andrews.
John Andrews, Lower Providence. I guess some people forget the photographs taken of the Earth by Apollo astronauts from the vicinity of the moon. Thank you.
Mr. Andrews, I have to remind you to please direct your comments to the board.
Regarding the post-prom, each year it immediately follows the combined junior-senior prom, the one prom that Methacton has. Decades ago, when I was in high school, we had separate proms for the juniors and the seniors. And I've always maintained that those two groups, aside from having different ages, have different objectives. And probably Methacton ought to reconsider having one gigantic prom. It's hard to find a place for it. It's probably a bit of confusion. Some people get hot meals, some people get cold meals. And I think the post-prom is an event that is oriented at the seniors, and repeatedly every year there are crisis calls for people to help with post-prom. And if you had a smaller group at the senior prom, you could have a smaller post-prom and probably more readily properly staff it with volunteers. Some years ago, I made the same pitch to an earlier board, and I found out that it's not something within the purview of the board. It's decided a year in advance each year by a group of teachers. So I respectfully think that proms are an important part of education, and it seems very arbitrary the way it's being done at this point, and I think that having two proms is constructive for each of those groups and constructive for the community. With regard to the high school bathroom situation, I think more study is needed. It's a revelation that we already have bathrooms that are locked up. I think $110,000, that could provide a bathroom with, maybe 50 faucets, and how many sinks, how many bathroom stalls. I think hopefully the design of a bathroom can come up with something that is more financially logical. With regard to the dates for board members calendar that is before you at the end of today's agenda, I was at a committee meeting, I think in July, where Dr. Zerbe planned to have special meetings in October, and it looks like they've disappeared. If, for instance, the facts support closing Arrowhead a year from today, we need a schedule that starts down that path or any other path. We need a schedule that has some activity in October. If the first activity is in December, it won't happen. It'll be a year later. It'll be $1 million wasted. We need to be respectful of the schedules, and they relate to using the taxpayers' money conservatively and
Mr.
in a
Andrews.
constructive manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bickelman.
Joe Bickelman, Audubon. I don't know, I'm going to take a stab at this. There was a change order approved for roof repair at the high school. We were talking 800 to 1,500 square feet. Do we know what the final determination of that was? And what's the projected cost? I think we had an amount of 200,000, something like that. So did we go to 1,500 square feet? Or 1,400 square feet?
Mr. Bickelman, I'll let you know. I mean, I don't know the answer to this. Well, what I was going to say was I do know that the project just wrapped up within the last few days, so I don't know that we would necessarily have those numbers yet, but I would say we can get them for you at a later date.
Can you ask our Fidavia representative?
Mr. Miller, if you know that information off the top of your head, please feel free.
That was it? 850 square feet?
We looked at it.
Okay, good, good. And the other thing I have, is I was reading the preliminary official statement for the next bond issue, and it shows in there that we have capacity that exceeds the students in our COLA, capacity of 1,050. That school can handle like 1,050 more kids that are currently in there. That's in the official statement. The bond issue statement under the enrollment. So you have room for 1,050 more students in that school. And that school is really underutilized. And if there's a lot of small classes coming up, so I don't know why the fifth graders, the sixth graders can't be moved into that school and realign the grades so that Skyview has 4-5. And to close Arrowhead and to have the remaining schools as K through 3. I think the enrollment projections would allow that, but Arcola looks like a school that's being well underutilized. I don't care how many special ed rooms there are with 4 kids or 6 kids in, and who's playing guitar, and who has a special room or a secretary has a room. I think you have enough capacity in that school to handle the sixth grade and bring 4 or 5 into Skyview. So before you make any decisions on building a new Arrowhead or renovating a new Arrowhead, I think you need to look at that realignment, because you have capacity of 1,050 more kids at Arcola. Says in the official statement. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bickelman. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Winters, Mr. Ryan, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.